Welcome to the Fear and Greed Business Interview. I'm Sean Aylmer. The pandemic saw a surge in the number of people moving from cities to regional areas, and while that rush of one-way traffic has certainly eased, there's still plenty of curiosity from city dwellers about the potential for a tree change. New research from the Regional Australia Institute compares aspects of livability in areas right across the country. The data includes median income and home prices, showing the relative affordability of living in the regions. Liz Ritchie is the CEO of Regional Australia Institute. Liz, welcome back to Fear and Greed.
Thanks for having me.
So just explain what the data does. It's all part of the Good Life Guide. What are you comparing?
Look, this tool is actually a kind of second iteration of a previous tool we used to have called the Move tool that was first launched in late 2019. We've revamped this tool to not only include more metrics, but to also kind of come at it from a greater affordability lens and a livability lens. So the metrics that we're using are looking at medium income, medium house price, distance to national parks, distance to coastal locations, and then it also provides income to house price ratio. And that as a metric is really about getting under the hood of, is this region affordable? And when you start to compare our regional locations with our metro locations, it's frightening. And therefore, what we see is a solid proposition for those people who are regionally curious and on the edge of making that move, that this tool might help them just get over the line.
Regionally curious, I like that. Liz, give me a couple of examples, maybe a Victorian one and a New South Wales one, because I have looked at the report and there are some quite incredible differences between how much money you make and what a house costs in Melbourne, for example, versus Shepparton.
Sure. Well, look, I've got a couple of examples I can share with you. So if we look in Victoria, the suburb of Manningham in Melbourne has a median income of around 60,000 and the house prices there are upwards of 1.3 million. Therefore, the price to income ratio is sitting at about 21. Now, if you compare that with a popular regional city in Victoria, Ballarat, you can see that actually the median income is hovering only just slightly below 60,000. So it's really comparable to that metro income. Yet the median house prices are sitting at just above 500,000. And so the price to income ratio here is at 8.6. So it's pretty stark when you compare those two. I can quickly look at an example in New South Wales, the region of Fairfield. The average income is 52,000, yet the median house price is sitting at $1 million, versus Albury, where the median income is actually higher at 58,000 per year, and yet the median house price is a little over 500,000. So you can start to see really quickly how much more affordable it is and how much further your income will go for you in those locations. You're that much closer to owning your own home.
Okay, one of the big challenges, though, moving to the regions is employment. Is the work from home shift helped that? Are there jobs in some of these regional centres? I mean, I'm sure that's a reason many people don't actually move to the regions.
Yeah, look, I mean, to answer your first question, we've come off the back of record job vacancies in the last 12 months. If we were talking 12 months ago, Sean, we were sitting at 95,000 jobs, and they're advertised jobs. That has come off slightly, and we're hovering between 70 to 75,000. But these are still extraordinarily high numbers that we're seeing. And these are professional jobs. Like, these are the engineers, the nurses, the educators. We are crying out for tradesmen to build the houses that we need. We might get to that. So there are jobs aplenty. But supporting the jobs in situ in those regional locations are people who are taking their job with them and, normalising hybrid and remote work. My organisation, we're headquartered out of Canberra, but the majority of my staff, rightly so, live in regional Australia. And, this is the new norm. And the more that we can embrace this in the private sector and the public sector, the better for our nation, because the broader our settlement will be.
Stay with me, Liz. We'll be back in a minute. My guest this morning is Liz Ritchie, CEO of the Regional Australia Institute. So we're talking about income here and owning your own home. So let's say we tick that one. Better to be in Ballarat or Albury than it is to be in Melbourne or Sydney. And if we can get a job, that's good. Why else would we go to the regions? I appreciate this is the Dorothy Dixer, and I grew up in regional New South Wales. So I know all the reasons to go, but I also know the reasons not to go, Liz.
Well, I mean, we've done the research on this. People are looking for better quality of life, and they see that in regional Australia. I mean, regional communities are not what they were when perhaps you and I grew up in our regional locations. I'm a Denny girl, Deniliquin, for those listeners that don't know Denny, and very proud to be so. But what I would say about my hometown, and I believe you grew up in Orange, I mean, these places are beautiful communities that are gentrified. They have incredible hospitality offerings, incredible retail. I was just in Orange a couple of weeks ago. I was blown away. So, the amenities.
That's the weather, Liz. That's the weather in Orange. You were blown away, literally.
Oh, no. It was actually one of those very special, 20 days, I'm going to say. But, they're much more sophisticated. And actually, you can link the sophistication of these regional communities to the change in employment profiles. So, you could look at 10 to 12 years ago, the highest proportion of job vacancies was in low to medium high skill base. Whereas today, the highest proportion of jobs available are in the high skill professionals. So you need to be fully qualified. And this really speaks to the changing nature, the very social fabric of our regional communities. These are great places to live.
Okay, what about education? And let's use Orange as the example. My hometown, when I grew up, there were 3 high schools. I think there's at least 6 now. And it's not that the population hasn't doubled. I mean, it's much higher, but it hasn't doubled. But education, that is another reason people don't move to the country.
Yeah, look, this continues to be a bit of a sticking point, but I think to use the Orange example is probably the standout. I mean, you've got places like Orange and others in regional Australia that have understood that diversity of education offering is vital to developing a strong livability strategy and a strong population attraction and retention strategy. Now, not all regional communities are in a position to welcome independent schools. We understand that. But there needs to be some work done to ensure that communities that do wish to expand their education offering have those opportunities in front of them, and that diversity is really important to people when considering a move to regional Australia. Again, unfortunately, through our work in the regionalisation ambition, which is a 10-year plan to rebalance the nation, we can see that the education outcomes have consistently not been on par with metropolitan education outcomes. This is a great concern to me, but this is being dealt with right now. It was dealt with through the University Accord, and Minister Clare is doing a lot of work to ensure that we can get better outcomes. This doesn't happen overnight. This is decades of underinvestment in our education outcomes in regional Australia, and it's going to take targeted strategy. So it's a hot button issue.
And just briefly, health, that's the other big one, of course, whether you get access to health services.
Yeah, again, we look at this from a variety of lenses. I guess as the Regional Australia Institute, we're not sort of experts in health delivery, but in the same vein, in our ambition, we have a metric there around ensuring that we've got medical practitioners that are at suitable levels with population growth. And, we've seen small changes and heading in a positive direction to get closer to the desired outcome there. But that's just one metric. I mean, there's so many health metrics that you can look at that are worrying when it comes to regional Australia. We know that. And this is why it's on the agenda. I know myself, my parents still live in Deniliquin. They spend most of their time on the road heading to larger centres or Melbourne for their medical appointments. So this is an issue that's, it is present, particularly as you're ageing and in the latter part of life. But we just have to continue to demand more.
Okay. What then, just sort of wrapping it up, what are the migration flows like? So we had a lot of people going when they realised they could go, and there are also examples of people moving back to the cities in more recent times. But what are the flows like at the moment?
Yeah. Look, the flows are very strong still. So in the March quarter, so we do a quarterly release, March quarter this year, we're at 20% above pre-pandemic levels.
Of people moving to regional?
Yep.
Wow.
Back up to some of the highest levels that we saw in the midst of COVID. So, that's the March quarter. The June quarter, we saw a slight dip, but we see that because it's seasonal. It's middle of the year. So that went to still 16% above pre-pandemic levels of movement. So this trend is not abating. There are stories featured every now and then of someone who didn't like it and they moved back. We are going to get that. We are, it's not going to be for everyone. But for the majority, we have countless stories available through our Move to More campaign that share why they love living in regional Australia, why they'd never moved back, and why they wish they'd done it 10 years earlier.
Fair enough. Liz, thank you for talking to Fear and Greed.
Thanks for having me.
That was Liz Ritchie, Chief Executive of the Regional Australia Institute. This is the Fear and Greed Daily Interview. Join us every morning for the full episode of Fear and Greed, daily business news for people who make their own decisions. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your day.